Now, 1 year after the chaotic U.S. withdrawal, which allowed that Taliban takeover, CNN's Clarissa Ward traveled outside Kabul, where Afghans harbor a deep resentment of the United States for invading in 2001 and occupying ever since.
There were no tears in the Tangi Valley when U.S. forces left Afghanistan. The landscape is awash with white flags, marking the graves of Taliban fighters killed in battle. Among them is the son of Nabi Mubaraz.
This is your son?
He tells us he was killed during a U.S.-supported Afghan Special Forces night raid on the family home in 2019. Video of the aftermath shows the scale of the destruction. After a protracted gun battle, the house was leveled, killing a second son of Mubaraz's, as well as his niece and her daughter. There was a lot of blood spilled, a voice says off camera. The rebuilt living room is now a shrine to the dead.
What was your reaction when American forces left a year ago?
I said that peace has come to Afghanistan, he says. There will be no more mothers becoming widows, like our mothers and sisters who were widowed, and our children killed. Across this rural Taliban stronghold, American forces were seen as invaders who brought death and destruction with their night raids and drone strikes. Peace has brought a chance to air long-held grievances. At the local market, were immediately surrounded. Every household had at least one fighter, this man tells us, and every house had people who were killed by the Americans and their drones, and we are proud of that. Sher Mohammed Hamas is treated like royalty here. His brother is believed to be responsible for downing a helicopter full of U.S. Special Forces.
So he's taking me to the spot where he says his brother shot down a Chinook.
It was August 6, 2011. Hamas says his brother was hiding behind the trees and shot the Chinook down with an RPG as it prepared to land by the river. 30 Americans were killed, the single greatest loss of American life in the entire Afghan war. There were a lot of celebrations, and not just here, he tells us. It was a big party.
I'm sure you can understand that it's hard to hear that people were celebrating about the deaths of dozens of Americans.
This was a heroic achievement because the people who were killed on this plane, they were the killers of Osama bin Laden, he says. And Sheikh Osama is someone who is the crown on the head of Muslims. So definitely the people were happy about this. Days later, the U.S. says it responded with a strike that killed Hamas's brother. Another white flag raised in a valley where martyrs were made and views hardened.
Now, Jake, what is so striking is that the Tangi Valley is less than 50 miles from Kabul, so where many people here were absolutely devastated by the Taliban takeover, a 2-hour drive away, people were celebrating in the streets. And I think one small part of that is that people in the Tangi Valley didn't get to see some of the benefits that were associated with the U.S. presence in Afghanistan, the billions of dollars that was pumped into development and infrastructure and resources all around. That really did not trickle down in any meaningful way to rural areas like the Tangi Valley. And that's a small part, I think, of why you see these attitudes, Jake.
All right, Clarissa Ward in Kabul for us. Thank you so much. Coming up.